Hello students, myself Dr. Chandrakanta. Now in this lecture we will study the general characteristics of Gymnosperms. There are about 88 genera and more than 1000 species of Gymnosperms distributed throughout various zones in the world. Firstly, we will go through the morphological characteristics of this plant group. These are evergreen trees, that means they retain green leaves throughout the year. For general idea, here you can see the picture of some common gymnosperms. One is of pinus, another is of cycas, out of which cycas are often grown as ornamental plants in gardens. Gymnosperms are xerophytically adapted. For example, in pinus, leaves are needle-shaped with thick cuticle and sunken stomata to prevent water loss. Similar adaptations are also seen in other plant species of this group. The plant body is well differentiated, that means it has true leaves, root, stem, and it represents the sporophytic generation of the plant. That can be said that diploid phase of the plant. Roots in gymnosperms are tap roots, but roots of some taxa shows association with the other plant groups, for example coraloid root of cycas and mycorrhizal root of pinus. Here in this slide you can see the picture of coraloid root of cycas and its anatomical view. Coraloid roots are apogeotropic, दैट मीन्स जो ये रूट्स हैं वो ग्राउंड सरफेस में ग्रो करते हैं अगेंस्ट द ग्रेविटी. इन एनाटॉमिकल पिक्चर वी कैन सी द एसोसिएशन ऑफ साइकस विद द एल्गी, स्पेशली ब्लू ग्रीन एल्गी, जिसे हम साइनोबैक्टीरिया भी कहते हैं, दैट फिक्सेस नाइट्रोजन and also in association with the plant root tissue it produces the useful amino acids for the plant. Now about mycorrhizal root of pinus. In roots of some gymnosperms, for example in pinus, some of the members of fungi like mushroom found growing in association with them. Such roots are called mycorrhizal roots. इस एसोसिएशन में प्लांट फंगस को फूड प्रोवाइड करता है, while fungus in turn increases the root surface area, enhancing water and nutrient uptake. Plants with mycorrhizal association are often more resistant to diseases, especially against soil-borne pathogens. These plants are also resistant to the effect of drought as water absorption is enhanced during this association. जिम्नोस्पर्म में स्टेम एरियल इरेक्ट होते हैं. दे आर आइदर प्रोफ्यूजली ब्रांच्ड, जैसा कि पाइनस और सिट्रस में देखने को मिलता है, और अनब्रांच्ड, फॉर एग्जांपल एज इन केस ऑफ साइकस एंड जामिया. इन जामिया इट इज समवॉट ट्यूबरस टाइप. The main feature of gymnosperm is the presence of leaf scar on the stem that is formed during leaf fall. Genera having branches consist of two types of shoot. One is dwarf shoot, another one is the long shoot. In third picture you can see the twig of pinus having both dwarf and long shoot. In gymnosperm, leaves are of variable shapes with different types of venation. For example, नीटम के लीव्स में रेटिकुलेट, वेल्विशिया में पैरेलल और गिंको में डाइकोटोमस वेनेशन देखने को मिलता है. Here in the fourth picture, it shows the various forms of leaf of different types of gymnosperms. For example, pinus, ginkgo, neetum, sequoia, citrus. They all have a different types of leaves. Gymnosperms में leaves डायमॉर्फिक होते हैं. That means इनमें दो तरह के leaves पाए जाते हैं. First one are microphyllous leaves, जो कि small, scaly, deciduous होते हैं. The other one are megaphyllous leaves. As name indicates, these are comparatively large, simple, and are needle-shaped in pinus or pinnately compound in cycas. but in case of ephedra, scaly leaves are present. This is the picture of pinus twig. Here in dwarf shoot, base area is covered with scaly leaves, which is further terminated with green foliage leaves, or we can say with needles. Anatomical characteristics. In gymnosperms, roots are di-to-polyarch. In diarch roots, lateral roots arise between xylem and phloem strands, and in case of polyarch root, lateral roots arise opposite to phloem strands. In stem cortex, tanniferous cells are present. Xylem lacks vessels and phloem lacks companion cells, with the exception of knee-tails. Stem has mesoarch or endarch xylem, that means xylem lie towards the pith, जबकि roots में xylem exarch होते हैं, that means it lies towards the outer side. Through diagrammatic representation of TS of shoot of pinus, it is clear that the vascular bundles are arranged in ring and are collateral and open. Collateral means that xylem phloem lies in same radius and have cambium strands between them. Cambium is a meristematic cells that divides to form secondary xylem and phloem, showing secondary growth and wood formation, and this growth is represented through annual ring. Here is the picture of annual ring. It shows the amount of wood produced during one growing season. In gymnosperms, wood are of two types, monoxylic and pycnoxylic. Monoxylic wood is porous, soft, more parenchymatous, and is of less commercial use, uh, whereas pycnoxylic wood, it is compact and is of great commercial use, for example pinus wood. In this slide you can see the picture of TS of pinus needle and TS of cycas leaf. Through this picture it is clear that leaves are with thick cuticle and sunken stomata. These are the features of xerophytic adaptations. The mesophyll of leaf may be undifferentiated. For example, you can see in this figure, in case of pinus, the mesophyll zone is made up of similar type of cells, that is quite undifferentiated, or the mesophyll may be differentiated as in the case of cycas. Here you can see in the diagram the mesophyll area of cycas is made up of two types of cells, elongated palisade layer and the other spongy parenchymatous cells. Since leaves mostly lack lateral veins, therefore in gymnosperms leaves have special types of tissues or cells which are known as transfusion tissues that helps in lateral translocation of materials. Now about reproduction or the reproductive structure of gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are heterosporous, that means इनमें दो तरह के स्पोर्स बनते हैं, one is microspores or other one is megaspores. Microspores are produced within male cones, whereas in female cones megaspores are produced. The cones are monosporangiate, that means they are unisexual, or we can say microspores are formed in separate male cone and megaspores are formed in separate female cone. Here you can see the picture of male and female cone of pinus. Male cones are produced in clusters and are in more in numbers as compared to the female cones. The development of sporangium is eusporangiate type, that means sporangium develops from group of cells rather than a single cells. Male cones. Male cones are usually short-lived in gymnosperms. And, and in gymnosperms, microsporangia develops on abaxial side of microsporophyll. That means they develop facing away from the stem of the plant. You can see this in figure A, where the structure represents the conical structure of male cone, where the arrangement of microsporangia on microsporophyll can be seen. The number of sporangia per sporophyll varies. It may be 2 as in the case of Pinus, or maybe many as in the case of Cycas. For this you can refer the figure B. Microspore or pollen grains are formed um within the microsporangia, which are then liberated during 3-cell stage as in the case of Cycas, or 4-cell stage as in the case of Pinus, and in case of Phiphedra it is liberated during 5-cell stage. Male gametes are mostly non-motile except in Cycas and Ginkgo, where male gametes are motile, and this is the primitive character. Just like male cone, female cones are also formed by aggregation of megasporophyll, but they persist on plant for several years. Immature cone remain closed, and after fertilization on maturity it opens up for the dispersal of seed. Megasporophyll may be like normal foliage as in the case of Cycas, or may be choline as in the case of Pinus. Each megasporophyll bear ovule or megasporangium that are naked, orthotropous and unitegmic. That means, like angiosperms, these are not enclosed within the ovary and are upright straight with single protective layer of integument. It is represented through figure D. Number of archegonia varies in gymnosperm. For example, in case of Cycas, they are several. Pollination and fertilization. All gymnosperms are wind pollinated, and pollination is direct. That means pollen grains come in direct contact with the ovule. Pollen get deposited in pollen chambers. There they start germinating. Thus we can say fertilization is stephanogamic. That means the through pollen tube germination. After fertilization, diploid zygote is formed, which represents the first cell of next sporophytic generation. The development of embryo is meroblastic type. That means, in spite of whole zygote, embryo is formed from a part of a zygote. In gymnosperm, endosperm is haploid as it is formed before fertilization. In case of gymnosperm, polyembryony may arise by the fertilization of more than one egg, but due to physiological competition, only one embryo attains maturity. Ovules further develops into the seed. This you can see, or for this you can refer the figure in the slide showing LS of Pinus seed, representing the structure of a seed of a gymnosperm. Seeds may have one, two or many cotyledons. Seeds after passing dormant period develops into sporophytic plant body. In gymnosperm, there is a distinct alternation of generations. The diploid sporophytic phase is dominant phase, whereas the haploid gametophytic phase is reduced phase. The gametophytic phase is dependent on the sporophytic phase. Thus, with this, the topic of general characteristics of gymnosperm is completed. Here in this slide, I have given some references that you can go through for your detailed study. Thank you.